Hi everyone, my name is David Eriksson. I'm one of the co-founders of Islands of Math, or actually our company name is Lindberg Matematik, but we're changing that. My background is actually in teaching. In the 90s I was a teacher, but I changed direction. I was sort of realizing the power of digital tools and how we can use digital communication to actually teach. So I started a digital agency called North Kingdom Design and Communication that works on an international level with brands such as Google, Supercell, Riot, EA, Facebook, etc. So considered as one of the world's leading digital agencies. I also co-founded a company called Once Upon Publishing that I was part of at an early stage. I think many of you know the success story of making photo books out of images in a phone. And I'm also co-founded a company called My First Game Lab, where we use the power of games to actually help people create healthy habits. But my latest project is Islands of Math, and it's something that is very dear to me, or actually maybe I would say has been a very complicated one. First, the question, how many in this audience consider themselves to be good at math? Hands up. Around 50%. How many in this audience think they suck at math? Around half. And so, anyone think? Yeah. It's like 30% for each. And which I think is a shame, because we all know that math is something beautiful. Our entire universe consists of math. Understanding math makes us understand why planets don't collide, why we don't fall off the planet, why a sandwich not always lands with the butter down when it falls over the table, or, more importantly, helps us analyze and be critical about fake news and understand what's true and what's not true. It's also an area that is growing in importance. In a more and more digitalized world, math is becoming more and more important. It's projected to grow just STEM occupations, where math is one of the bases. STEM occupations is calculated to grow 300% more than any other occupation group in the future. Why? Because digitalization is driving the need for math knowledge. On top of that, just to give you in Sweden, where I'm based, there is a lack of 70,000 professionals within IT, where math is one of the most fundamental knowledges. Western society is also lacking behind. We can see that Asian countries is proving much more knowledgeable within math, on top of all the rankings when it comes to math. So it is an issue in our society today. It is an issue that most of us actually think, like me, that I don't have what Niklas called the math gene, that I'm not really proficient, that I don't know how to learn math. I don't know how many times the people said, yeah, I don't know math, I'm not the math person, I don't know what to use math for. And this is something that many people feel is a stigma. I don't know how to learn math. And it's also proven that 10% of all Swedish young people that graduates högstadiet fail in math. 10%. And it means that a lot of doors are closed for future occupation, because math is so important. In some areas, it's higher, almost close to 30% of the students that fail in math. In the US, there's something called the STEM exodus. When students come to university and want to study math, 60% drop off because the math is getting too hard. So there is a big stigma around math education. And I've had this because I've learned a lot of stuff over the years, but I always consider myself not to be a math person. And then I met this person, the second co-founder of Islands of Math, Carl. He's a professor at mathematics. And I told him, but you know, I can't learn math. And he said, come David, sit down by the table. 20 minutes later, I totally changed my way to see how math is and how I can learn math. 20 minutes later, he used scissors and paper. And it totally changed the way, for me, realizing that I can learn math. And how do you do it, he said? Well, help me, he said, tell the world how we can change how math is looked upon. There are 4 very simple principles that can revolutionize how you, everyone in this room, and everyone in the world, look upon math. 4 simple principles. And we took that and built our first product, which is a gamified app that targets kids in 10 to 15 years old, and focuses on these 4 simple principles. And these 4 simple principles are the rectangle, the circle, the cube, and the scales. I can't show you all that now. We have something that, when we take these 4 principles and we kind of take it into an app, we have something called the matrix effect. Because once you've learned this, you won't be able to unsee it. It's like you've seen the matrix. And the 4 pillars that we build upon, it's principles versus methods. You all know cookbook recipes. But just because you know a cookbook recipe doesn't mean that you can cook. That's the same way math is taught today in Swedish school system. Relevance and context is important. How many know that multiplication actually happens when we moved from being nomadic people into actually owning land? And you needed to be able to compare your land to someone else. Multiplication is surface. It's a rectangle. Understanding that when Turing solved the Enigma, the German encoding system, that the relevance was if he didn't solve that with math, he would be a dead person, being a homosexual. And the Germans would have sort of killed him the very moment they came into power. So relevance and context is important. Visualize and tactilizing. Very, very important and a powerful tool to understand the world. And to really understand a problem, you need to be able to draw a picture. And how many people can draw a picture out of a mathematical problem today? Last but not least, gamification. How do you make fun, engaging math? It's through the use of games. Kids play games all the time because it's fun and engaging. Math can be fun and engaging if we make it into a game. And of course, gamification can be used for adaptive learning, that you learn at your own pace. So this is what we call the matrix effect, that we, together with the 4 principles, baked into an app. And these are just some simple screens from the prototype that we have in the working that shows the rectangle that actually we start already at the 4th grade introducing the rectangle, but Carl, that is teaching at the Chalmers University to the highest students in math, he's using the rectangle as a basis for his teaching. The stigma around math is nothing unknown. There's a lot of apps out there when it comes to math. But lots are doing it in the same way as math has always been teaching. Exercises, exercises, exercises. Drilling. Know it in the brain, rote learning. No one actually focuses on understanding. If you take a cookbook, there's nothing that says about the core principles of cooking and tasting. You have the 4 tastes, or 5 is it. In the same way, there are principles and deep learning that can help us understand math. And we also need to work with gamification to actually drive fun and engagement. We talk about intrinsic motivation rather than extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic can be a teacher that actually tells you you need to do your homework, but it can also be a reward system that tells you, oh, good for doing exercise number 2. Move on to exercise number 3. But gamification is about making it fun and engaging. And we see a position where the Islands of Math can be there. We have an experienced international team on board. We're totally outsourcing the development of the product as it is right now. But it's an international team that has 10 years of experience working with these type of digital products. And we're thinking, of course, we're born global, but we need to start locally. Understanding, first of all, the Swedish market, how it works. So we are planning an MVP app with launch in April 2022. And we're validating the market fit when it comes to doing the analysis, the segmentation. How do we acquire customers? And our customers is of course parents that are worried about their kids making math and making it good. Traditional for digital products ad-based model, where we really at this stage, where we're developing the MVP, at the end, we need to understand what is the CPI, the cost per install that we can do, and how much can we charge for it. But we're looking at breaking even at 15,000 active monthly subscriptions. And looking at the current speed, we should be able to reach it at Q1 2023. Of course, we've done user testing. And that was the most rewarding thing from starting this project. Talking to kids when you introduce this model of learning math. So these are just a few selections from that first initial user testing we did on the prototype. And I had a parent coming back just the other weekend saying, where can we get our hands on the app? Because our kid that didn't like math before wants to learn more math. That was for me the biggest reward in realizing that our product actually has a place in the world and when it comes to seeing math differently. If you want to know more or test the current prototype, just get in contact with me or Carl. There is the whole methodology that this is based on called the Singapore-modellen. You can read more about. Just Google it. So there's a lot of stuff out there. So thanks for listening, and let's change the way we look upon math in the world.